Good morning. Today is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Sukkot is Zman Simchateinu, the time of our rejoicing. It's a time of joy and happiness. This Shabbos, which is Shmini Atzeres, we read a book from the Torah, from Ksuvim, from the writings. On Pesach, we read Shir Hashirim. On Shavuos, we read the book of Ruth. If you had to choose a book of the Torah to read on Sukkot, Zman Simchateinu, the time of our rejoicing, what would be your last choice? Well, maybe the last choice would be the book of Eov, of Job, because it's a very heavy, sad subject. But certainly next to last would be Kohelet, which we translate as Ecclesiastes. And that is, in fact, what we read this Shabbos. And it starts, Kohelet, Hakol Havolim, Amar Kohelet. Everything is empty and fleeting and meaningless. It seems like a very strange choice to read on Sukkot that is called Zman Simchateinu. Why choose Kohelet? So I want to share with you the approach of Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. And that is that Kohelet asks a question that every single one of us asks and lives with. We live with this question. And Kohelet provides the answer that can change our lives. And the answer to the question is Sukkot. So let's start with the key word in Kohelet, Hevel. That word Hevel is used just five times just in the second verse, second pasuk, a total of 38 times throughout the book of Kohelet, the word Hevel, Havolim. Now you'll see many different translations of this word: vanity, emptiness, futility. But a more precise translation, the way it's used in the Torah, Hevel is a shallow or fleeting breath. It refers to breathing. A shallow or fleeting breath. And the question Kohelet asks is, since all of life is a mere fleeting breath, in the end, every one of us will die. What does life mean? That's the question Kohelet poses. And it's a question that virtually every one of us lives with our entire life. There's a classic book, a monumental book, written by Ernest Becker, The Denial of Death. If you have not read it, I suggest that you read it. It is really insightful. The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. And in this book, he argues that the primary motivator throughout life is our anxiety over death. Our fear of death leads us to do things that we feel, we hope, will live forever. We accumulate possessions. We achieve power. We write books. We build buildings. We create art. We spend our lives trying to leave something that will live on after us. But they all fail to defeat death because we won't live to see it. And this is the question that Kohelet poses right at the beginning. Ma yisron la'adam l'chol amalo sheyamol tachas hashemesh. What is the purpose? What is the use of all of the effort that we extend in life under the sun? And Kohelet continues. Asisi li ganos apardesim. The author of Kohelet, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, writes, I made gardens and orchards. I planted the trees of every kind of fruit. I made streams of water. I bought servants and people to work in my household. I accumulated great flocks. I had so much of everything, so much silver and gold. And I made for myself ministers and officers to serve my empire. I created all kinds of pleasures for people. V'gadalti v'hosafti, I enlarged and I added mikol shahaya lefonai b'Yerushalayim. I got more than of everything that was in Jerusalem. V'hine hakol hevel. And I found that it was all hevel, fleeting breath. So my yisron la'adam l'chol amalo. So what is the purpose? What is the goal of all the work? If all of this stuff that we do trying is not making it, what's the sense of life? And then Kohelet provides the answer in several different verses. For example, Yadati, I know, writes Kohelet, ki ein tov bam, ki im lismoach v'lasos tov b'chayav. The only thing that is meaningful in life is to rejoice, simcha, to rejoice, and to do good in this life. Again, v'ra'isi, and I saw, writes Kohelet, ki ein tov me'asher yismach ha'adam b'masav. There is no good in the world as good as rejoicing over the goodness of my actions. Lastly, v'shabachti ani es simcha. I value, I praise joy, having joy, expressing joy, feeling joy. Asher ein tov la'adam tachas Hashem. There's no other good under the sun that equals simcha, that equals experiencing joy. Now, the best way that I can explain the meaning and significance of simcha in this context is to point to what for many of us is our highest moment of simcha, the moment that we stand under the chuppah with our new spouse. And at that peak moment, at the end of the ceremony of the wedding, we break a glass. We break a glass to remember that everything is not perfect. Jerusalem is not rebuilt. We have conflicts, we have crises, we have worries, and yet we appreciate the joy of that moment at that moment. Because here's the truth. Life is a risk. Life can be dark. Life can be frightening. We all know life can be uncertain. And this is what simcha is. The ability to experience and appreciate the joy that is in this moment, putting aside the worries of yesterday and of tomorrow. Just thank God for now. That's simcha. I've quoted to you before this line from a remarkable book, Between Two Kingdoms, written by Suleika Jawod. And she writes, the nature of true joy is figuring out how to coexist with the pain that will always live inside of you without pretending it isn't there or allowing it to hijack your day. Simcha has the potential to remove or at least greatly lessen our fear of death by allowing us to substitute joy for anxiety and fear, to be in the moment of that joy. And here's the truth, which we've discussed many times. We can find joy in just about every moment of life if we choose to do so. And when we focus on simcha, we push aside the fear of death, because we can experience simcha with those questions still existing but set aside. And this answer to the challenge of death is Sukkot. When we enter a diras aroi, a temporary dwelling that is vulnerable, and it will not last, just as our body is a temporary dwelling that will not last. And with our vulnerability to the wind and the cold or the heat and the rain and the vicissitudes of life, in that temporary dwelling we rejoice. We experience Zman Simchateinu, the time of our rejoicing. Because although there are all of these anxieties and worries and weaknesses, but we can experience right now the joy of being together with our family and our friends in the sukkah, being with our community in shul, enjoying delicious meals, even if it's just with immediate family, even if I am just by myself, recognizing the embrace and protection of God's presence and thanking God for now. And then, if I can do that, the wind and the cold and the rain don't matter. Sukkot is the answer to the question that Kohelet poses. And that's the reason we choose this work to read on Sukkot. I shared this story with some of you before. It's a remarkable story. Years ago, we had a bar mitzvah at ADATH. And the grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. And this grandfather insisted that he wanted to speak at his grandson's bar mitzvah, which was very, very out of character for him. He was quiet, he was shy, he was never known to speak in public, but he insisted that he had a message that he had to share with his grandson on his grandson's bar mitzvah. And here's what he said. He told a story. He told a fable. And the fable goes like this. Friday night, Shabbos night, a large crowd was about to begin the Shabbos Seudah, the Friday night meal, the Shabbos dinner. The husband asked the wife to fill the Kiddush cup with wine. She did, but the cup was not filled. So the husband took the entire bottle and he poured the entire bottle into the cup, but still it did not fill. He took another bottle of wine and poured the entire bottle in, and another, but still the cup would not fill. And he was worried. What did I do wrong that I cannot fill the Kiddush cup? And just then, an angel flew overhead. And the angel was crying. And a tear fell into the cup. And the cup was filled. So this man said to his grandson, "It is necessary to have a tear to fill a cup for simcha, for joy. If you can have a tear and fill your cup for simcha, you will live a full life, regardless of the number of your years. And you will defeat death." That is the message of Kohelet. And that is the message of Sukkot. My friends, I wish you a great day, a wonderful Yom Tov, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.